Yeah, I think that's important because the word was excel on the international stage. And I think that's a good segue, Lawrie, into being able to talk about the work that you put into displaying the art of Central Australia. I think the best place to start with that is actually with John Underwood and his art piece that was featured on the rock at the entrance. And I think you've got a very interesting story to tell about how pedantic John Truscott and John Underwood were in getting the right rock.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as you know, the important part of the Art of Central Australia was that at Expo we wanted to show that the event was a world event being held in Australia, and of course we had to highlight our Indigenous people, our first Australians, and John Truscott was the force behind that, obviously, and so he and I worked very closely together, and he was the sitescape director and I was the landscape director, and so we put our heads together and we thought, right, well, John had amassed this opportunity for the artworks that were on display there. How can we display them to make them truly Australian, a setting that is evocative of the outback, that wonderful red deserts and so on. So I said, right, what we'll do is we'll create a little glimpse of what some of the major elements are of the outback of Australia. The red sands of the deserts, for instance, the walls themselves on which the artworks were placed had that same terracotta finish and so on. And the plant material is very sparse, typical arid land stuff. And and an integral part of that was the rock, special rocks we needed. And behind me there, I've just brought up the photo of one of the human factor sculptors there, sitting on a rock. You can't quite see it there, but John Underwood said to me, he said, look, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to add to the artworks by the human factor in various ways. And I would really like at the main entrance to have a big rock, a beautiful rock that my sculpture can sit on. And he said, but there's one thing, he said, he knew that I was going out west to try and find these rocks because I knew there's a property just west of Longreach where these incredible rocks were, and special rocks I'll talk about in a moment. But he said, look, what I want you to do is sit on every rock that you look at, cross-legged, just like the sculpture's going to be. And when you find one that's comfortable, that's the one to bring in. So he said, but there's one other thing. He said, you've got to sit on it naked. It was January when I had to go out there, temperatures up in the 40s and things. I didn't do that. I sat on every rock, and finally the one of many that we brought in was there for the entrance. And yeah, the benefit of these rocks are they were special rocks in that they were highly metamorphosed, as they say in geological terms. And if you hit them with a little bit of metal object of some sort, they would ring like a bell because they were like porcelain. They were polished, and they were just beautiful pieces of sculpture in themselves. And so it was ideal that we used those. And then they were set in, and then we had red sand railed in from out beyond Cunnamulla to surface the whole gallery, the whole outdoor gallery in the red sand. And so the rocks and the sand and the artwork and the plant material, a couple of very big grass trees were there as they were main focal points as well. So that was it, and it was just amazing to be part of that whole process, as it was throughout Expo, because we had all these different precincts, each with their own unique characteristics that were appropriate for the areas that we were doing, whether it was the Pacific Lagoon or the outback of Australia or New Zealand or wherever. And yes, that was great, and to work on that with John Truscott and everybody else, you know, and then, as you said, those works of art are there here in Brisbane for all time for us to see and enjoy.